So today's new lesson is going to be about slope-intercept form. So this is what we're talking about when we say we're actually going to write those equations. So remember yesterday how when we went through and talked about finding the slope, I was able to write you equations right off the bat. You're going to be able to do that after today's lesson. We're going to start thinking about back to when we talked about proportionality, and you could find the value of k and then write the graph in y equals kx form. To find k, you took a point. So this would be the point 2, comma, between 10 and 20 is going to be 15. So to find k, you did y divided by x. So 15 divided by 2. Go ahead and divide. You should get 7.5. That tells me my k value is 7.5. You were able to write the equation y equals 7.5 x because this was a proportional graph and the k value was 7.5. The k value in linear equations is actually going to translate to be our slope, which is what we talked about yesterday. So for example, if I look at this graph that's right here, I first want to find the slope. So I have this point and I have this point. It's a negative line, it's going down, so it means my slope is going to be negative. So I'm going to make myself a note here. The rise is go down 1, so minus 1. And the run is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, so that's positive. So the slope of this line is negative 1/4. The y-intercept, this is the point where it crosses the y-axis. The other day we reminded ourselves that this is the y-axis. Go down here until the line crosses. The line crosses at y equals 2. So the y-intercept is 2. Those are the two things that you're going to need to be able to write an equation for today's lesson. There's an equation format. It's called the slope-intercept form. It's in this form, y equals mx plus b. In this format, m is replaced by a number and b gets replaced by a number. M is your slope, so you put your slope number in there, and the b is your y-intercept. So we can take the information we had up here, our slope and our y-intercept, and we can actually write the equation. For now, I'm going to suggest you do y equals blank x plus blank. What was the slope of this line? The slope was negative 1/4. So in the slope spot, we put negative 1/4. What was the y-intercept? The y-intercept was 2, so we put 2. The equation for this line that's up here is y equals negative 1/4 x plus 2. Go ahead, turn it over to the back side. It just wants us to look at these and identify the slope and the y-intercept. So in here, there's my slope and there's my y-intercept. So the slope is 2/3 and the y-intercept is going to be a negative 4. We're going to be careful with our symbols here. Over here, the slope is attached to the x, it's negative 5, and the y-intercept is a positive 3. We can also look at a graph and find the slope and y-intercept. The slope on my graph, I have 2 points, so I need the rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I went up, so that's positive. And the run is 2, so my slope is rise over run. 4 over 2 is really going to just be 2. And my y-intercept is where does it cross the y-axis? That happens down here at negative 3. So now the next part says write an equation of a line in slope-intercept with a slope of negative 3 and a y-intercept of negative 4. Jot down y equals blank x plus blank. Our slope is negative 3, so we're going to go ahead and plug that in next to x. The y-intercept is negative 4, so we're going to plug that in the b spot. We don't do plus a negative though, so we're going to clean that up. Instead of writing plus a negative, we're going to actually just write minus 4. So the equation of this line is y equals negative 3x minus 4. If you go back up here to this graph example, we could write the equation of this line too. Y equals blank x plus blank. The slope 2 goes with the x, the y-intercept goes on the end. But it's again that plus a negative, so we write y equals 2x minus 3. Slope is 2, y-intercept is negative 3. Come down here. Write the equation in slope-intercept form for the graph shown. We need two things to be able to write our equation. We need our slope and we need our y-intercept. I'm noticing that there are actually 2 points on my graph already, so I'm going to find rise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went up, and run, 1, 2, 3. I went to the right. So my slope is going to be positive 5/3. Look at this one, the line's going up, positive slope. Y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. The line crosses down here. This would be -2. So y equals blank x plus blank. With the x, you put the 5/3, and you put the y-intercept of -2. Ew, yuck, yuck, yuck. Clean it up. 5/3 x minus 2. And that's your final answer. Take a second and I want you to try this one. Pause the video, find the slope, find the y-intercept, and when you come back, I'll have the answer for you. All right, the slope, rise 1, run 4, so it's a positive 1/4. The y-intercept happened here at y is 2. Y equals blank x plus blank. Slope is 1/4, y-intercept is 2. Y equals 1/4 x plus 2. You're now going to go back to your slope review worksheet, and you're going to actually practice with these. And I want you to go back. So take a look at it, please. I want you to write the equation for 1, 2. We're going to skip 3 because it's going to be a fraction. We will do 4. We're going to skip 5. We're going to skip 6 because we can't see the y-intercept here. 7 we are going to do. This is your y-intercept down here. Flip it over. Let's do 9 and also 12. 10 and 11 we'll skip over. You're going to work on those, get your equations checked, and then when you're done with that, Mrs. Brider or the substitute will have another worksheet for you to work on with talking about writing equations of lines.